Do you want to know one of the most powerful practices that supported me in my grief? Something that is so simple, so small, that can be done in a micro moment on any day, yet that packs a punch in its mightiness, in its impact on us, our nervous system, and how we can move forwards with our grief. Welcome back to Death on the Daily. My name's Tanya, and I am here today to talk about those little glimmers that we can connect into in any present moment. Now, if you haven't heard of what glimmers are before, they're basically the opposite of triggers. Now, to start with our triggers, we know when we get triggered, it's our nervous system gets triggered. It takes us out of a space of regulation. It feels really uncomfortable. And glimmers were first introduced as a term by Deb Dana, who's an expert in nervous system and most specifically what's called the polyvagal theory. What Deb shared is that glimmers are those micro moments that we can connect into on any given day, where actually being present with ourselves, we can see that our body, our nervous system feels calm, feels connected, feels safe. And these glimmers, like their name suggests, can be fleeting little sparks of moments, particularly if we think about it in difficult and painful times, like when we're roaring in our grief, when we're navigating the immediate shock of losing someone who we love. Actually, they can be really micro, but by connecting into them, they hold such power that can help to support us in shifting our nervous system state. And in a culture where oftentimes when we think of, what's going to bring us joy, we often go to what's going to bring us the most joy. I am looking forward to this holiday, or perhaps I'm looking forward to, this was me just under a year ago when we were between deciding that we were going to get married and getting married. I'm really looking forward to getting married. We look for these big milestones and really focus in on them, but actually don't acknowledge that there are so many gifts in the present moment that are really rooted in their simplicity. They could be when you're walking out in nature, just sinking into awe of, at the moment, I'm loving the way that the sunlight flows through the leaves in the canopy in the forest. It can be something as simple as that, of just a brief moment looking up at a tree or some trees and feeling that impact on our nervous system. It could be spending time with those who we love, with our pets. Pets are amazing at giving us glimmers, or like I like to think they're like big shards of light that comes through when I spend time with our two dogs, Manu and Puru, because actually that co-regulation is a real thing of how their nervous system and how their state of being calm, of just being very present with me, of just giving me all of their love, all of their goofiness, how that is infectious, and how I connect in and can feel on days where, whether it's I'm feeling grief, whether it's I'm stressing about something work-wise, I can feel instantly how they shift my nervous system state. And glimmers could be something really simple, like having a cup of tea and connecting into that first sip with all of your senses, to feel the warmth of the mug in your hands, to feel the warmth of the tea, to feel the taste, to taste the taste of the tea, to smell it, to connect in from what you're seeing, to connect in from what you're listening, both in you drinking the tea and in your surroundings. Glimmers can be really simple, and I would always advise just root them into the simple, because I think we as humans are missing out on so many of the joys each day. So if you want to join me in this glimmer mission, it's all about moving through each day and finding those little, very simple micro moments that we can connect into. And in connecting to nature, in connecting to pets, connecting with friends, it's about bringing our awareness, obviously, onto that which we're seeing or experiencing with all of our senses, as well as bringing that connection into your nervous system, into your body, and just observing in that moment how you're feeling. Observing, is it a sense of calm that has surfaced within you? Is it a sense of groundedness, of rootedness? Is it a sense of being deeply connected? A sense of being in joyful flow? A sense of being in creative awe? What's coming up for you that feels good. And I know the power of this in grief from my own personal journey, as well as that which I walk as a grief coach now with my clients. Because actually, when we can connect into the glimmers, there's an acknowledgement. And that's not to take away from the pain and the sadness, but it's an acknowledgement that actually this human existence is complicated. In our wholeness as humans, we can hold a duality, one where, yes, there is obviously that suffering that we're going through, alongside the fact that actually there can be moments of joy, there can be moments of calm, there can be those moments like you may have experienced in your grief where you suddenly go, oh, everything feels kind of normal. I can see that there's a path through this. And it's really about finding presence with it all and not denying, obviously, the difficult, but it's actually in finding presence, it's understanding that there are also these glimmers, whether it's of joy, whether it's of balance, of peace, of connection, whatever is coming up, there are these glimmers that we can also connect into on any given day. And the fact that those glimmers can really help to resource us when it comes to our nervous system and supporting us as we're navigating that forwards path with our grief. So glimmers are really helping us to remember we can hold all of this. It's not about erasing our grief. It's actually, I see it as almost glimmers are part of my cocooning strategy in grief, a part of that support network of practices that I've got that really help me to move forwards with an acceptance and an integration that my grief is lifelong and it's going to hurt at many, many times in my life, all the way through to the day that I die and I'm reunited with our daughter. But that's okay, because I know I've got these practices that can also help me as I move forwards to see that I can hold this and that I can also connect into all of the beauties and the joys that life brings too. And within that as well, I wanted to share just from my own personal story and experience, because if you've tuned into Death on the Daily, you know I'm very passionate about encouraging us all to let it out, to cry when we want to cry, to not punch down those emotions, to acknowledge and accept how we're really feeling. And when I connect in from the space of glimmers, and I'm sure, I mean, everyone can relate to this because this is a part of the human process of crying and that which it brings to us and helping us to process through those emotions. We all know those times where we've been bawling our eyes out. And actually on the other side, when we are, putting myself in that case, I'm an ugly crier. I become a red-faced, snotty mess. But I know that there's that emergence on the other side when I'm sniffing and the tears have stopped. I'm still feeling very bunged up in my face, but I know that inside I can feel that shift in my nervous system. I know I can feel that something's released, something's processed. I sometimes in these moments can also see, okay, there's a light that's been shone on the forwards path now. I can move forwards from here. And actually what I found really powerful is being able to find deeper presence throughout it all. But that's enabled me to realize those glimmers that exist. And actually in my experience when my husband Jordan and I, when our daughter died, and we were going through the process, which was, it's called a termination for medical reasons. And that at 21 weeks meant that we had to, basically the pregnancy was ended because she had a birth defect that was incompatible with life after she was outside of the womb. And in going through the process of her death, of her stillbirth, there was so many tears shed. There was so many moments where it was just visceral, raw. It was just all coming out of me. But alongside those moments, there was also those moments of where I felt that relief after crying, after bawling my eyes out for, a long period of time, where there were moments where we would be crying and then we would be laughing about just something in this process. That my husband is hilarious. He's very good at cracking jokes at the right time. So there would be something where we would just laugh and we'd be in each other's arms and just like crying laughter after just bawling our eyes out from our grief and our devastation. There were moments where I was crying, but I was also so flooded with love and pride in my daughter that went to depths of me that I had never, ever experienced before. I wouldn't even call that one a glimmer. I would call that one like the whole sun of light within me. There were all of these moments alongside the pain. And when we are conscious to the fact that there are always these glimmers that we can choose to connect to, and we make that choice to connect into them, it can be so, so powerful. So if, like me, you're grieving, firstly, sending you so much love. And secondly, saying that if you want to join me in this practice, if this has resonated with you, always remembering this is not about fixing. It's not about making things better, because there is nothing that can do that. This is our grief. It's our grief that we move forwards with. There will always be that pain. There will always be that beacon of love that also hurts quite a lot. But what this is about is it's just being open to let those little glimmers in, to purposefully go out and find them, to consciously connect into them, to connect into that which feels good, that which feels joyful, that which brings a sense of calm, of peace, of grounding to your nervous system. It's going out there, actively seeking them out. And a practice that you can do, I do this every single night in my gratitude journaling, is I write down what glimmers came up for me. It's not just about, I achieved this amazing thing in my work. It's also, what were the simple moments that brought me joy, that brought me balance, that brought me peace today, and connecting into them. So I end each episode with my note to self. And I thought, actually, in today's note to self, why don't I share a journal prompt if you want to join me in this daily gratitude practice for our glimmers. And listen, we don't need to search for like 100 glimmers to note down at the end of the day. It can literally just be 1 or 2 in any given day. And actually, in some days, we might just say, do you know what? I only managed to connect into 1, and it actually felt like half. That is okay. It's particularly okay in the grief space. So my note to self journal prompt is, what was one small glimmer today that made me feel even a little bit more at ease, calm, connected, or joyful? And if you want to join me in taking that into your daily practice of reflection in your journal, or if you just want to bring a little bit more awareness into those glimmers that are all around as you're moving through this life, wherever you are in this journey, know that I and Death on the Daily are always here. And it might be as well that if you received something from this episode, there was a little glimmer that came through from you, that you might also think of that one person in your life who also needs to receive this message, who could do with moving forwards with that connection to glimmers. So if you're open to, I would love any shares of this episode with any friends, any family, as well as if you could just hit that subscribe button underneath this episode. It really, really helps me by way of getting the word out there about my podcast and about my Death on the Daily mission. And wherever you are in your journey and whatever glimmers that you connect into today, know that I'm always here. Death on the Daily is always in your corner as you navigate the forwards path with grief. And know that I'm sending you all of my love. All of my gratitude to you for joining me for another Dead Conversation. Death on the Daily is edited by David Strutt. The music is Set Free by Katie Gray. And I am Tanya Wilkinson. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would be over the moon if you can rate, review, and subscribe. It really, really helps me to get the word out there. And if you want to say hi or to hear more about my work as a coach and death doula, including how I support my clients to navigate their death on the daily, then all of the ways that you can connect with me are in the show notes. I'll be back soon with some more Dead Conversations. And in the meantime, take good care of yourself and others.
There's a cold fire, there's a crossfire, and there's something inside. And we'll never make